Lisbeth Salander, the writer of Wrongs.
From the Paris world premiere of Fantastic Beasts 2 to the new Millennium film, The Girl in the Spider's Web, welcome to our weekly film show. And I'm delighted to say we're joined in the studio by Bulgarian filmmaker Milko Lazarov. Thank you very much for joining us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Now, you've been on the festival circuit with your award-winning film Arga since it closed the Berlin Film Festival this year. Tell us about a film that you discovered that you really liked.
So, you mean lately or
lately?
Yeah, there is one film I like very much. It's been a part of Cannes, this year's Cannes. It's Happy as Lazarov, the name.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very nice film and very delicate. And yeah, this film I have to mark this film because this is something special and something different than the usual film flow lately.
Happy as Lazarov. OK, well, out this week is a rollicking, magical film to enchant Harry Potter fans. Hundreds of people gathered in Paris for the world premiere of Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, the second movie in the Fantastic Beasts series. The creator J.K. Rowling, the director David Yates, and actors Eddie Redmayne, Jude Law and Catherine Waterston met with fans and signed autographs ahead of the screening. Luke Schrago reports.
For one night only, Paris became the capital of the wizarding world, with the author of Harry Potter herself in town to present the second part of the Harry Potter prequel saga, Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald.
It's more complicated, it's a little darker, and I think you start to see the connections with Harry Potter a little more.
In the world where we wizards were free.
For fans, it's just what they were hoping for.
Join me or die.
We've been waiting for this movie forever.
It's a magical universe. The wizarding world allows us to escape the ordinary.
I learned to read thanks to Harry Potter, and the saga is pretty unique because it actually came of age alongside its audience.
The wizarding and non-wizarding worlds have been at peace for over a century. Grindelwald wants to see that peace destroyed.
An explosion of special effects and an incredible array of fantastic beasts, it's all very familiar to Harry Potter fans. Paris of the 1920s was chosen to be the film's backdrop. The movie itself, a story of struggle between two visions of magic. The dark side represented by Johnny Depp. On the lighter and more peaceful side, Eddie Redmayne and Jude Law.
Should things at some point go terribly wrong, it's good to have a place to go.
I think J.K. Rowling, along with the escapism and the magic, she also creates stories and characters that are appealing to people who feel maybe a little disenfranchised or on the outskirts or just dealing with the usual life.
You don't suffer from motion sickness, do you?
I don't do well on boats.
You'll be fine.
I think the most exciting thing for me in this film was getting to work with Jude Law, who plays Dumbledore, because he's one of my favourite actors. He also happens to be a friend, so I've known him for a few years, and getting to mess around with a mate on like these massive sets, playing kind of extraordinary characters, it's the stuff that dreams are made of.
A dream that'll continue for a while yet, likely to fans' relief. The prequel saga has been greenlit for 3 more movies to come.
I think that might have been the best moment of my life.
We're next to the 5th film to come from the Millennium books. Let's take a look at The Girl in the Spider's Web, based on the 4th book in the series, starring the Queen's Claire Foy as the vengeful gothy computer hacker Lisbeth Salander, and directed by Fede Alvarez.
I'm a fan of yours. The CEO who beat up 2 prostitutes, but then got acquitted in court yesterday.
Get me down!
I'm transferring 20% of your cash to these 2 girls.
I'm calling down to security.
The rest, I'm transferring to your wife. Account number.
Don't!
51912.
Take your child and leave. He won't hurt you again.
Let's give you some background with the original Girl with the Dragon Tattoo novel, written by the late Stieg Larsson, was first adapted into a Swedish film in 2009, and there were 2 sequels. Then the director David Fincher and actress Rooney Mara teamed up for the 2011 American remake of Dragon Tattoo. But although the film was a success, plans to adapt the next 2 Larsson novels never came to fruition. Larsson wrote 3 novels, then died unexpectedly, and his books were followed up by The Girl in the Spider's Web, written by the author David Lagercrantz. Now, the story shows Lisbeth still hacking into and destroying the lives of powerful men who do wrong by the women in their lives. So how does the new movie stack up against the previous 4? Not well, if the reviews are anything to go by. If you've seen it, please do drop us a line on Twitter or Facebook at Evening in Paris to let us know what you think. Well, as I said earlier, I'm joined in the studio by the Bulgarian filmmaker Milko Lazarov. Welcome again to the show. Now, your award-winning film Arga is out in France this month. We're going to take a look at a clip from the film, but can you introduce the movie for us?
Yeah, the film is about an old couple of, let's say, North people. They are not Inuits, but they live like in that way. So the film is for the great love, for forgiveness, for that major topics in our lives. So.
Okay, well, let's take a look at Arga.
Aga'nı kırıştım.
Kayda hayyari.
Gülelir, göz, kar hep gülelir.
Aga biga oğlak bollağa. Kinini kırıştığına kaya.
Adaktar yollar koldukta. Bir de tabii o adamlar.
So, Milko, why did you want to tell this story of an Inuit couple living in a yurt in northeastern Siberia?
I don't know exactly why, but I remember when I was a kid, I was very curious about the great explorers like Roald Amundsen, James Cook, and from the Inuits, the tribes up north. So probably this white period marked me forever. So I put a simple story as a metaphor up north, so as the last family on earth in my eyes.
The characters are called Sedna and Nanook, which makes a link to one of the most famous and controversial ethnographic films ever made, which is, of course, Robert Flaherty's Nanook of the North, which was made in 1922. Now, that's about the daily life of Inuits in Canada. Was this also inspired by that film?
Not exactly. It's a documentary. I haven't watched the film since I was in academy. It's 30 years ago. But there is a connection, of course, between great Flaherty and nowadays. So 100 years later, we named Nanook by purpose as a tribute to Robert Flaherty, Nanook of the North. So there is a connection. But in the film, this is just fiction.
Well, so little was known back then in 1922 about global warming. But in your film, we see a way of life where every footprint, every passing aeroplane, every cloud, it has to be interpreted as something which could affect their way of life. And it is a way of life that is probably about to end because of climate change. Was that in your head when you were making the film as well?
Not really. I'm not that kind of guy. So, but we have to be responsible about our home, the earth. But the film is mostly about the relationships in the family, like a decadence of the family, as I said, the last family on earth. But you cannot just pass those things you marked, like climate changes and pollution. They take place in the film also.
Tell us about the filming conditions, though, because it was clearly freezing cold. What was that like?
We started at -30, and it sounds like shock, but it wasn't very cold, really. It's very dry over there, not very windy, so it wasn't. We have we were equipped very, very proper with like expedition equipment. Thanks to our producer, Vessi. she has a birthday today, so happy birthday, Bessie. So it wasn't very cold, and everything went just smooth, very smooth, unexpectedly.
Okay, well, Milko, thank you so much for joining us to tell us about your film Argo, which is out in France this month. Now we're going to leave you with Luca Guadagnino's Suspiria, a remake of the 1970s Dario Argento Freak Out. It's been called a fantasy of violently consuming female power. Remember our website. We're also on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. There's more news coming up on France 24 after this.
It's all a mess. The one out there. The one in here. The one that's coming.